In this video, I'm gonna be sharing with you how you can run LinkedIn ads profitably so you can actually book sales calls and close clients for your high ticket online business. And no, it's not gonna be one of those dumb download my ebook ads that you always see and pretty much never convert on. Nah, this is something way more sneaky, way more effective, and for some reason, no one is doing it. Hey guys, my name is Lloyd and I've helped over 130 plus clients around the world build epic sales systems that have allowed them to generate sales calls and scale their businesses almost on autopilot. And today I'll be sharing with you what has worked for them as well as for myself. Now, I do want to say this video is going to be much more about the high-level strategy on how to set up a LinkedIn ads campaign that will ultimately drive you ROI. We're not going to be going as much into like LinkedIn's ad manager and giving you like a detailed breakdown of what buttons to click to set it up. If you do want that, just leave a comment below and I'll know to try to make it. But I think this is going to be ultimately more helpful for you since we're talking about what will actually generate you results.
So why even use LinkedIn in the first place for any of your outreach, any of your marketing? Well, the first thing is that LinkedIn has 600 million plus prospects. It is one of the largest social networks on the planet, but unlike Instagram or TikTok, the people who go on LinkedIn are in the mindset of buying. And the reason why is because these are older professionals. They're trying to improve their wealth, their income level, grow their businesses. So you're just gonna catch them with a totally different mindset when they're on the platform. It's a very B2B centric audience. So especially if you're selling some sort of B2B offer, this is going to be an amazing platform for you, but certainly I have a lot of clients that sell B2C offers as well, even in fitness or weight loss or doing one-on-one coaching in mindset. Cool thing about LinkedIn as well is it's been really designed from day one for business development. It's not like some of those other channels that don't encourage you to necessarily do outreach or try to generate clients. LinkedIn has been tailor-made for that because that's what Microsoft wants you to do. And because of the mindset that these people are on, where they're trying to grow their business, improve their income, you are able to sell them very high ticket offers, right? $10,000 plus offers, whether it be software or agency or consulting or coaching, your services, as long as it can create transformation, LinkedIn has buyers that will want to buy. So that's why it's such a huge opportunity. Now, the question though is why don't you just stick with LinkedIn's organic marketing? Because everyone knows that on LinkedIn, you can just send out messages, connection requests, you can DM people, even sharing content. Well, there's a lot of issues that come with organic marketing on LinkedIn. So let's start off with the content side of things first. The issue with LinkedIn organic content is that it gets very, very little reach. Certainly, there are people that are getting thousands, if not tens of thousands of engagement points, impressions, but they are very slim. It's 5% reach rate typically for most people. And take it from me, I used to be super involved in organic content and I used to get a ton of traction, but this was like 3 or 4 years ago when no one was doing it. Nowadays, it's much harder. And unfortunately, with LinkedIn content, you put a lot of time into doing it, but then it's not evergreen, right? It continuously just scrolls down and then eventually it's lost in the abyss, and your old content doesn't really create the same amount of impact as say YouTube content where it's fairly evergreen. So yes, you can certainly get a lot of traction out of organic content, but if you're strictly talking about the amount of time you're putting in relative to the amount of benefit that you're getting out of it, it's a little bit more difficult. In terms of organic outreach, this is probably what more people are thinking of when it comes to LinkedIn. So this is DMing or connection requests, whether it be manual or automated. The biggest issue here is that your outreach has now been throttled. LinkedIn has certainly noticed that so many people are trying to automate these days that they've lowered the amount of people that you're allowed to talk to every single week, down from before where you could send out like 500 per week. Now it's like 20% of that. So automation tools are certainly not as effective. And honestly, since people have been now getting prospected so dramatically these days, people are just a little bit burnt out. So if you're selling in an industry where your audience is receiving a lot of marketing, you're not really going to stand out or cut through the noise by just sending out yet another cold connection request. These days, I would actually say that the best way to do LinkedIn outreach does require a little bit more personalization. But with personalization, you're gonna have to spend quite a lot of time to test out what works and what doesn't, and scaling it will provide some issues since personalization is inherently hard to multiply. So oftentimes, the way that you scale it does require hiring, which for me, I think is great, and I have a ton of content in my channel all about hiring salespeople that can do personalized outreach. It works, but obviously there's quite a lot of energy that is required for you to execute on this strategy. So there has to be a better way. And LinkedIn ads allows you to overcome the primary issue that you often see with LinkedIn organic, which is the challenge of scaling, the difficulty with building trust with an audience, and the fact that it takes such a long time. LinkedIn ads solves all of this. It allows you to reach a massive audience, and there will be no bottleneck. It doesn't throttle you the way that LinkedIn content might. It doesn't have these issues with scale the way that organic outreach might have. You can just build that trust and credibility in such a fast way, and you cannot achieve this with just cold DMing or outreach. So who does this work for? Well, if you're selling a high ticket course in the B2B or even in the B2C space, to be honest, especially if you're a biz professional selling to other biz professionals, IT, software services, all those are good. If you're a coach, if you're a consultant, or if you're selling to coaches, selling to consultants, this is going to work really, really well. SaaS works as well, but if you're selling low ticket SaaS, maybe not. If you're selling a higher ticket software, I think it will provide potentially quite good ROI for you. Now, who shouldn't use the tactics that I'm about to share? If you're selling a low ticket offer, if you run some sort of brick and mortar company that isn't gonna have an easy time scaling or targeting due to just like the localization of your business, or if your audience is simply not on LinkedIn. So for example, if you're going after like plumbers, most of them are so blue collar that they're not spending too much time on digital. And in that case, probably LinkedIn's not the best bet. All right, so let's just talk first about how people are using LinkedIn ads today and why it's completely wrong. It's so dumb, right? Like, you look at these ads that, to be fair, are being run by huge companies. Amazon, this other company is like reasonably large with 30,000 followers. But 90% of the ads that you see on LinkedIn right now is just for some sort of like downloadable asset. And it's like some sort of white paper or a checklist or some PDF file. This is literally 90% of the ads that you're seeing right now. And it's boring. These are literally the driest ads that I've ever seen. There isn't an ounce of personality in this. And you can notice that they're all done by these huge brands. It's never done by human beings or people. And the reality is, people don't connect with brands. They connect with people. This is just wrong on so many different levels. And when people complain that LinkedIn ads is so expensive, it's partially because they're just doing it wrong. Now, the cool thing is, if you're a coach or you're a consultant or you're a service/agency business, honestly, there's not very much competition, because when you look down LinkedIn, the majority of the people who are sharing these ads are SaaS companies or well-funded massive corporations. The fact that there's not really many other coaches or consultants or agency owners that are trying to buy ad space on LinkedIn means that there's a huge opportunity for you if you're willing to take the risk and try it out. And if you do it correctly, you can massively generate profits, and no one else is going to be competing for that same attention. But the key is you do it in the correct way. You do not try to do these lifeless, boring ads that the other advertisers are doing. You don't try to do the same downloadable funnel ad that frankly does not work. And yeah, it's going to be very, very expensive if you're trying to just run these ads directly to try to convert someone into a lead magnet or a video or an ebook or any form of opt-in. That's how LinkedIn generates a ton of money, when you're trying to run ads that are specifically meant to convert people into your website on some sort of downloadable asset. Generally speaking, you're going to be looking at a $3 to $5 per click, which is expensive. And then you're going to have to do a ton of retargeting, a ton of follow-up for you to finally book that call. Maybe it ends up being $500 to $1,000 per booked call, which, if you're selling a $10,000, $20,000 offer, that's still acceptable. But obviously, if we could aim for under $250 per call booked or below, that's much better for us. So in today's presentation, we're going to try to share with you a methodology in order for you to achieve that. Part of the reason why is because if we are a small business owner, maybe we're only doing $100,000 to a couple $1 million in revenue per year. Us as small business owners, we can't really afford to just sink $1 million into a LinkedIn ads campaign, such as Microsoft can, without making an ROI, right? We need to generate calls. That's the primary modus operandi for us. So that's exactly what we're going to be talking about in today's presentation, how to set up a funnel where you can actually be profitable at even lower levels of scale. So I already talked about the wrong way to run LinkedIn ads. So what's the correct way to run LinkedIn ads? Well, you start at the top where you have a bunch of cold prospects. These are people who do not know you. Now, the key is you want to essentially build massive amounts of trust with them, right? Get them to know your brand, get them to actually feel as though you have something valuable to offer. Typically, the way that you build that trust is to share insight and add value. You don't build trust by just pitching someone, right? So the way that we like to do this with ads is that we actually want to run LinkedIn video ads. We share this video which teaches them something, shows them about how they can improve on a certain aspect of their business, maybe giving them some insight on, hey, here's how to generate more leads, or here's how to lose weight, or here's how to hire better. Whatever your offer is, you want to be doing this not from your company's brand, but from your own brand, which is already going to set you apart. You're not going to be trying to hard sell them either. You're really focusing on this video ad being much more so of providing value. And we're not going to actually try to get them to download anything. Literally, we're going to be optimizing the ad to just get engagement, to have people like and comment and view the video in hopefully its entirety. And this is actually something that we're doing in order to build that trust and engagement. Because of the fact that we're not actually having this ad optimized to convert, to get a download, or have someone submit a lead form, this is significantly cheaper. Part of the reason why all of those LinkedIn ads that I showed you before are super expensive is because they are meant to convert. Whereas here, you can spend very little money and get thousands and thousands of pieces of engagement and impressions for very, very little money. And now you actually have warm prospects who have seen your videos and are starting to know your brand. The cool thing is you can even have retargeting setup where if someone saw the first 30 seconds of that initial ad, then you know that they're kind of interested and you continuously retarget them and serve them more ads. So those are the people that you really focus in on because you know that they're somewhat interested. So by the end of this, a certain subsegment of the people who've seen your ads are going to be warm. So what you're going to do at this point is your conversion mechanism to get them into a call is not going to be via a video ad. Actually, you're just going to find all the people who've liked and viewed and engaged in the content in the video. You're going to actually just build a list and then you're going to DM them directly. So this is a little bit more of a hybrid approach. Rather than just using LinkedIn ads as the conversion mechanism all by itself, you're going to actually use it just to identify who are the warm prospects. And then you're going to essentially build out a messaging campaign so that you can reach out to them. It's like, hey, I noticed that you checked on my video on X, Y, and Z topic. Are you trying to improve on your business or improve in your life when it comes to that? And you're going to have a full conversation on just their existing situation, right? So it's really similar now to the typical cold LinkedIn outreach that you might normally be doing. But now you've actually warmed them up already, so there's a much higher chance that they're going to reply to you. And then that likelihood of them converting into a booked call is just much, much, much higher. So I would argue that relative to pure LinkedIn cold outreach, this is much, much more effective. Obviously, you're putting a little bit of money into the top of the funnel to warm them up, but it's well worth it because this allows you to have just much more scale. And from there, you just book the call. Now, if you are curious about how I actually set up the outreach process inside LinkedIn, here is a video that goes into how I actually do the LinkedIn outreach side. And if you're curious about the way in which I set up the DMs, how I optimize the conversation in Messenger to book calls, I have a video about that here as well. I cannot emphasize enough, guys, this is a huge opportunity because no one is doing this. Not only are your competitors, other coaches, consultants, and agency owners not even on LinkedIn right now at all running ads, but certainly the ones that are doing it in a very unprofitable way because they're likely just trying to aim directly towards conversion. On the flip side, The majority of the other coaches, consultants, and agencies on the platform, they're pretty much only doing cold outreach, but they're using automation, which is slowly degrading in terms of quality over time. It's getting harder and harder because LinkedIn's new terms of services and regulations are making it more difficult to send out volume. And obviously the audience themselves are kind of getting sick and tired of being constantly pitched. So over time, your competition is just gonna lose faith in LinkedIn. And if you're the only person that's actually doing LinkedIn ads in the right way, you're gonna beat all of your competitors. Remember, warm leads are always gonna be easier to book into calls and close than cold leads. And that's what this strategy does. And ultimately, when you do LinkedIn ads in this way, it's much less expensive because we're not trying to convert directly into a funnel. Now, I will say setting all of this up is pretty difficult. There are so many different areas in which you could fail, right? The funnel, the videos, the budgeting, how to use LinkedIn Ads Manager. And then remember, this is a hybrid strategy. So even if you do the ads correctly, you still got to optimize and scale out the outreach process and the follow-up process to ultimately book those warm leads into meetings. So certainly there's a lot of time and a lot of mistakes that you might end up making. And that's not ideal because the longer it takes for you to solve this, the more ad spend you're wasting in the process of trying to get to your promised land. So that's why if you actually would like us to just help you out, schedule a strategy session with me below, and me and my business partner who runs all of the LinkedIn ads will just speak with you directly, and we'll see whether or not we can actually assist. Once again, this is best for someone who's running some sort of coaching, consulting, or agency offer. If you've already built a reasonably successful business, so you have cash flow, and you want to just speed up the rate at which your LinkedIn strategy gets you lots of booked calls and lots of revenue.
So hopefully that was valuable for you guys. I have additional videos right here that go deeper into how I like to use LinkedIn organically. So definitely check them out if you are curious. And with that being said, I will see you next time. Cheers.